Are you swiping right at LinkedIn but nobody swipes back at you? In this episode of IMO, we are giving you tips and tricks of finding a job.
Does you saying that you are also seeking other opportunities make you seem more attractive because you're more scarce or whatever?
No, actually it's subjective.
Yeah.
Okay. It's based on the needs of the company. So scarcity comes from market. It's not you.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of In My Opinion. My name is John.
My name is Lester.
And my name is Mushi.
Yes. We got a very special guest, probably one of the smartest people I know in my life. And even if he does not humbly accept that he's smart, he's at least one of the most methodical and hardworking people I know.
We have been streaming for the last 1.5 hours, and I can safely say that my brain is the most tired it's ever been because John has never intellectually stimulated me in any way.
Whoa! Whoa! Cut all the cameras and let's go out and fight right now.
And we can find us at our social media platforms, Overthink SG everywhere, Telegram, Instagram,
and watch me fight Lester.
YouTube, Twitch, everywhere.
TikTok,
yes, and TikTok as well.
Telegram.
Do join us there. Yes. But today's topic will be about first job tips. And the reason why we have Mushi here is because the two of us, as much as we pretend like we know a lot of things generally,
he actually knows a lot.
Yeah, we don't know a lot because he is in his first ever job and I haven't started my first ever.
He is on his 0th job.
So this guy is the only one, right, who has the perspective of both someone who is seeking a job and also someone who was in charge of the hiring process. So I think that can give you a better perspective.
Yes. Maybe I do a quick background intro. So I used to be the CTO, Chief Technology Officer, and Chief Operating Officer for TSL. Just to give some perspective as to
and credence to the words that come out
because
of his
usually
mouth.
I don't appear in front of camera.
Yeah.
So
but people know you, Mushi.
I mean,
yeah, famous.
I don't appear on camera lah. So,
but yes, so I also saw some tips, and some tips came from the employer's point of view. Some tips came from the employee's point of view as well.
Yes.
So I'm going to react. Let me read out the first part. Let's react to some of these tips that we have.
And then after that, Mushi will drop some wisdom bombs.
And then Mushi will after that come in and say like you guys are
wrong.
Stupid. Okay, let's react to the first one. This guy never put his name, but they said be realistic in your salaries asking and linked like a salary report of what people normally get and everything. So that's one thing that I struggle with because now I'm job hunting also. I'm now job hunting. So one of the things that we always have to do is they ask you expected salary, and I always struggle between putting what I really want and what I think I can get, and that's something that. I feel like if you put too high, people will be a bit turned off also because they probably don't. It doesn't show that you have a lot of awareness of your skills and abilities and everything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you put too low, you also selling yourself short because now Singapore fucking expensive right now. So it's I don't know what to tell you If you haven't quite figured that out yet, you're way too young Don't need watch this video. But I was just wondering what's that line for you? As someone who has been at hiring spot, is it really that big of a impression change if someone puts too high of a salary ask?
If the person is impressive, putting high numbers is not an issue.
Okay, but what if it's entry level?
Entry level, same thing. If the person's value or the portfolio is really very good, then we can negotiate. I think it's okay lah, unless the finances at this point in time, for example, maybe the company is still in startup stage. Your cash flow and burn rate it needs to be managed. Then that one. No choice. It's not because sometimes it could be that we actually want the person, but the finances does not allow us to acquire this talent at the point in time. But maybe down the line where the company finances is actually better, then we might actually reach out to the person again and ask whether are you still interested? Because and we'll be quite honest with them that at the current stage we can't afford you. But we still want to keep in contact with you because we see your value. It's just that now cannot afford.
Okay.
But in terms of salary, actually it's also not really a magic, not really a magic number. So if you look at Kelly Services, which is some of those HR consultancy, they generate this thing called annual average salary report or whatsoever in different sector. They will show you things like what is the different level pay grade different pay grade, different year count, and then they give you average salary. And based on Glassdoor, magic of internet, you can actually see what is some of the last paying or similarly priced job role even before you apply. Unless you are unless you are really very good, then
Yeah.
sometimes some companies might headhunt you, and they will give you a special
price lah.
offer. Yeah, then it's not a magic number.
Yeah.
There is a market rate of starting salary if you are a fresh grad.
Yeah.
Based on your, I mean, every time you look at news, they'll be like, oh, fresh grad for certain degree of courses come out is priced at this price point.
Yeah.
There's a market rate like with anything
There
lah.
is a market rate.
But I do think that like if you do put higher, which I think some people might put because they really believe in their portfolio or whatever, it's something that you should be like very prepared to defend. Because it's I think whatever you put in your, whether it's resume or like expected salary, etc., you need to be able to like justify it lah. So if like people ask me like, hey, you put like, let's say like a very, very high salary grade, like a salary, expected salary, and say, but you're just a fresh grad, like why? Then you must be able to justify it. I can't be just cause like I want to earn a lot of money. Like that's not something that you should be saying lah.
Because I wanna.
Because I want to go to Ola Beach Club and bring all the drinks.
I think it's also good to understand that if the company is not willing to or cannot afford the rate, although it might sound high, but if let's say that is the market rate, it is an indicator that the company finances isn't doing very well. So it also means that maybe it's a red flag for you to think about whether you should consider to pursue
That particular
because
company.
interview is two-way.
Yeah, I agree.
And so you can
also see whether you believe in them also, because you can go in and then in 6 months they taupi, then you're also screwed.
Yeah.
I do think that being realistic is a good point, but like if you don't go higher than the market rate, quote unquote, you must be able to justify lah. Why don't we move on to the next one? The name is TTB. Actually, they had a few job hunting tips.
Bing.
Maybe, who knows, right?
Thanks, brother.
Shit. Okay, it says, be clear, be concise, and research on the company you're applying to, less about yourself and more what you can bring to the organization. And then he said, you really need to sell yourself. Don't just tell your interviewer that you have experience for this amount of years, rather what you have contributed. And even if you have left the previous company out of frustration, never say that. Just say you're seeking better opportunities. The interviewer will know what you mean and they'll be empathetic. But I think their main point is mainly about like
Selling yourself right.
selling yourself well, and also about researching a company before, and also understanding where you can fit in. And that's something that you talked about in the before we started rolling the camera.
Yes.
About like you must be able to go in and pitch how you can come
Fix
in
the
and
problems.
play
contribute
the role
Yeah.
and contribute. I think that will be a very, very big part. Like when you can come in and say like, okay, I see you guys are good at this is what you guys are good at. Here's what I feel like you guys are lacking, and here's how I can help. I think that will be a lot more impressive than if you just go in and say that like, oh, by the way, I take videos and take photos. The end. Like it's a lot more impressive that you're like, I guess, tailoring your argument towards that specific company.
Yeah. So maybe I share from my personal experience lah.
Yeah.
So when I applied for TSL, I mean the interview they scheduled was like next day.
Okay.
I had less than 24 hours to like respond.
Research, right.
I mean,
Yeah.
okay, so I was just applying for fun. In fact, I wasn't really applying. I was just like, Chris.
Mesen.
No, I'm
Chris,
not. No. Chris was like, you think what you can do or contribute to, you just think about it, like what you think you want to do here.
Yeah.
So I came up with like a document, right? With like different things that after I think the company will need, or where are the gaps. Then he actually sent my draft note, right, which is a random document that I sent to a friend. He sent it to Brian, which is the boss.
Yeah. And Brian was like, wow.
Then the next moment I know that, I actually need to prepare for an interview in 24 hours. Yeah, then that's where homework really helps a lot, because it actually helps both you and your potential employer. Because what I did was I actually data mined the entire site for about 2 years worth of editorial work. But actually effectively it's a 1 year thing, because the company is still a bit young. Then I put out based on writer name.
Yeah.
So I have so-called battle stats of which writer contributed the most, which writer contributed the least. And then I put out, based on the data, I put out the editorial, because at the end of the post, they will say, this post is brought to you by.
Yeah.
Then I reverse engineered out the list of repeated occurrences of like the advertorial or whatsoever that they were paying for to sort of guess the revenue and guess where the advertorial money is coming from. And then I realized that they didn't have sufficient recurring because I was analyzing a 2-year window. For the editorial side. And not only that, I was mining the YouTube channel as well. I was putting out
insane, dude.
I was putting out the view counts, the statistics, as well as competitors, because we need to understand where you are at in a relative playfield.
Okay.
Yeah. So same thing. The good thing is there is actually a way to use Google Script. And pull stats from YouTube. There's an API. You can search for it. It's a Google API, a YouTube API on Google.
I think you can
Google
tell us
Slides.
this, but we might not understand a single.
Don't worry, because
I think
eventually
like the more actionable thing to do
is to research.
Is to do research. But like I would say like the scaled down version of what I do normally is that, for example, when I apply for a media company, most of the time I'll be looking at their content. I won't be as like detailed as them, like data as him, because I honestly don't have the technical skills for it. But I will like roughly look at like what worked and what didn't. And based on that, I'll have my own inferences and what I think should go forward. So it might not be as like heavily data backed as his.
Yes.
But I feel like you should still think about it. And I think it'll be good to present these things and say like, hey, like
to at least at minimum show people you got to do your homework.
Correct.
And understand the company. Actually, I did more than that lah. I actually found out all the sister sites. Back then, it wasn't fully consolidated. And I found out like other subsidiary projects like Snatch, which is an app. Sometimes like this. Then I did a US recommendation. I did some recommendations based on that, all within the 24 hours. So the next day when I went in for the interview, it's like a presentation show reel.
You're like the boyfriend ruin spoil market for everyone. All the other boyfriends like fuck this guy.
I feel like this episode I don't want to talk already.
But that's what I would do. When I go for an interview
Right.
So to be fair, like some of the other interviews now that I'm going for is not about a company background, not necessarily about a company background. Some could be about how I would recreate my portfolio or CV for the role that I'm applying for.
I think that's also a good point. Like recreating your resume or your CV, customize it based on the company that you are applying for. Like if I'm applying for like a certain role, I won't be sending the same exact resume or same exact cover letter. I think it should change a little bit and try to based on the company and what you think they need, try to customize it to them.
Talking about spoil market, right? Once in a while we do receive potential hires who send us media kit as their CV to office.
Oh wow. Okay.
Just that y'all don't know any.
Media kit as in what kind?
So the person, the actual media kit.
What's the content of the media kit?
No, so the content, some of them might have like photo, their portfolio work. They literally send it as an unboxing experience and then put their information, maybe do some random craft work or like related to what their scope is, and they send it to the office as a media kit. It's just that because usually it's directed to Miss Atin or directed to like, the HR side. So actually we do see some people
that's wild
doing a lot of effort just to get the eyeball and not even through a traditional the current route, which is the email.
I think it's trying to separate yourself as well. I mean, you can move on to the next one. The name is Chicken Strips. Thank you.
技师.
But they say whenever they ask you if you're also seeking another job somewhere else, always just say yes, even if you're not. It increases your chance of getting hired. I don't know whether that's true. I want to ask you this.
What are your thoughts on
it
this?
Makes sense in
but,
theory.
but this is also a little bit of subjectiveness.
There's a way to sieve out whether you are saying real or not, ma.
Oh yeah.
Because the next thing they'll ask you is, can you show me the offer letter?
Okay, what if? Okay, wait.
Because if let's say you say you want to use use it as a counter offer. Then I want to see the proof of offer to counter offer, so that I can, if let's say it's real, then I will. Then if the person is not willing, I mean, either the person has to hide or maybe it's not. I mean, it goes. Let's say interview goes both ways.
I agree. Well, okay, but let's say if it's real, does having a separate offer or like you saying that you are also seeking other opportunities make you seem more attractive because you're more scarce or whatever?
No, actually it's subjective.
Yeah.
It's based on the needs of the company.
Okay.
I mean, if you ask, if
And
you
the
think,
urgency of the need.
if you think about it, right, do we need an in-house doctor in a media company?
No.
No.
There's no immediate need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, certain skill set, like I say, there's a demand and there's a supply. So it's relative and subjective. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's something that I've always wondered also, because I've been very honest doing my job hunt, and I'll say that like, I'm like looking for at other companies, or I have an offer already.
Personally, I would say I favor the side of honesty.
Yeah, correct. I'll be very honest, but I don't know that it helps.
If you are able to go in with a clear conscience, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to play games.
Yeah,
As much as there is this glorification of people playing games to get their job, right?
Don't.
For every one success story, there are probably 9 who get called out on their bullshit.
Yeah.
And you will find yourself in a very compromising position.
I think just be very honest lah, I feel. And if you are seeking other things, I don't know whether it helps in terms of like making you look more scarce and more valuable. I don't think it does.
So scarcity comes from market. It's not you.
That's true.
Must remember this thing, because for example, right now, what the skill sets that are in demand will be tech. And maybe specifically maybe in data and AI.
Yeah.
So that is the scarcity. But there's some skill sets that are even more scarce depending on where you are at. For example, maybe machine learning in self-driving, specifically self-driving or autonomous driving. Then I mean your salary compensation might be way higher, but just because the market
doesn't.
Yeah. So scarcity is not imagined out. It's market driven.
Okay. I mean, but I do think that if anything, if you're more honest, I think it does look more attractive lah. It breeds some form of trust if you're being very honest, and I think that's
we cannot encourage the wrong thing. Some people have the liar's skill set to smoke their way through that kind of lie.
I mean, if you lie, eventually
It'll catch up to you.
Yeah, it'll catch up to you lah. I mean,
exactly. So let's not encourage the wrong thing.
Let's not encourage the wrong thing.
There can only be one Wolf of Wall Street.
Amanda also has some job tips for us, and she's actually coming from the employer's point of view.
Oh, nice.
And they said, got some repeat points, but the one that really that speak out to me more is the ask questions about the company or the interviewer based on the research. It shows you that you did a research, and it also helps you bond with the interviewer because they get to talk about their experience. So I'll link by the way, I'll link all these tips. I'll link it at the doc.
Yes.
You can go read it out properly.
So please discuss, but of course, you see, you all read already. I don't want you all to just take that as gospel.
It's not a gospel.
Please discuss in our overthink chat.
Yeah, correct. But I want to pull this one out because I feel like every time a lot of people don't know what to ask in the interview, because they say like, people ask like, what questions do you have for us? A lot of people don't know what to ask, right? Or they ask you like weird ass questions. But I just wondering, what were the more impressive questions that you will ask?
Can I just put it out there that before Mushi answers this, right? I think this question also serves another purpose. Which is to test the preparedness of the candidate, especially at entry-level positions. Most of the time, entry-level positions, people come in from an environment where they have never encountered a professional setting before, aside from their internship. Which will never usually contest you whether you know what you're talking about.
Correct. Yeah.
So if they ask you have any questions, right, and your answer is no, I've got no questions, it goes to show that you may not necessarily be prepared.
And you haven't thought about it.
Or you've never thought about what are the potential things that other people may have asked.
Yeah.
And they will peg you very quietly against other candidates because of that.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to share based on what I usually ask. So it's very personal. So, for me, I have the goals to continue my lifelong learning journey. So, for example, when I signed with TSL, at that point in stage, I was looking at the possibility of me taking out my masters. So one of the questions, because that is my personal goal, I wanted to. So it's a common question that I actually asked to all potential employers back then when I was looking for a job, which is if I'm going back to school, what happens to my job? Because then some companies, I wouldn't name some companies will say, oh, actually, if you want to study, can, but you need to take sabbatical. You'll be unpaid.
Yeah.
Then some companies will say, study. Yes, our organization sponsors.
Supports. Oh.
Yeah, then
So all this you need to know these things because one day you know that you
one day because that is my personal goal. But of course,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's personal goal is different.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you're planning to get married, for example, then you can ask about what is the wedding like wedding package, or what is some of the family friendly company policies that you guys have, because if you're building a
Yeah.
family, chances are if you have a kid, then you want to know other than childcare, maternity leave, what are some of the other things that will impact your life.
Yeah.
So most of the questions can still be very personal based on your circumstances at that stage in life, and it cuts across different ages. It doesn't matter whether you're first time, second time, or is mid career or whatsoever.
Yeah. Chisha asked, you can ask them this during the interview. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
You can definitely ask them because these things are, as what Mushi says, it's also a two-way interview almost sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it's important to know what you're getting yourself into
No,
before
I
you
think
accept
we are
offers.
also in the mindset in Singapore whereby we sometimes feel like there's a wrong thing to ask.
Yeah.
I think for most interviews, especially when you're going there to get a job, right? There are questions that affect you that are definitely worth asking because you may not get another
Opportunity,
appropriate
yeah.
opportunity to have this conversation.
Normally, like what I do ask those questions, but I think I have a slightly different approach to the questions. I always treat it like I'm interviewing like an expert and I want to know more from them. That's the questions I ask. So anytime someone's interviewing me, they're normally like very high position people in like media companies. So normally the questions I ask them, like I like to ask them is like, I remember asking one of them, like, you had to can a segment before, like you had to delete a whole segment off YouTube before because or you stopped doing it. Like, why do you decide to do that? And like, what was the process like? Do you feel like, do you regret having to delete the segment, or do you regret having to like cancel it? Like, these are the questions that I will ask because I think that's like personally interesting in me. I feel like it also shows that you're interested in the inner workings of the company and not just like just doing your job and fucking off lah. Yes, Mushi.
I mean, randomology did have another question.
Oh yeah, Randomology says my main concern that study is a deal breaker for job opportunities.
I don't think so. Because up till now from my personal experience lah, I mean, based on my line of work, study is needed. In fact, it ties back to the controversial topic about degree expiring.
Yeah.
Because you do need to continue your education
Yeah.
and continue upgrading and learning new skill sets.
Especially on these kind of emerging technologies.
Yes,
Definitely,
So it's
definitely.
not even red flag. In fact, some companies actually do send people. I have met people in certain organizations where I was at a hiring event.
Yeah.
They were there because the company sent them for the course, but they're actually not looking for a job.
Right.
It's just because part of the program requires them to do project showcase.
Yeah.
And then you want to hire them, then they tell you, oh, sorry, I have a happy job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So I mean, if
Interesting.
I also do think that like if let's say study is a big deal for you and the company says that like I don't think you won't be able to study, or they don't like give you that security.
And it's a red flag lor.
Red flag was not a good fit for you lor. It's kind of like overthink lor. Sometimes like I feel like if a company ever comes and tell me like you can never ever do overthink ever again, that's a red flag for me. So that's my own personal red flag. So that's another question I'll ask in my own personal interviews. I'll say I have this side thing called overthink. We probably don't earn a lot of money. We are probably not going to earn a lot of money. So, but will you let me do it? Because I feel very passionate
it's a
about
bit
it.
like a moonlighting situation, but actually it doesn't impact your work.
Yeah, exactly. So if some companies will like, yeah, sure, do it. I understand. Go ahead and do it. Some companies are like, oh, I'm not very comfortable. And most of the time, the not very comfortable ones, I'm like, okay, I'm not a good fit. Because this is a deal breaker for me.
It is exactly like sussing out what you want in a relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like I think people neglect to consider that a job takes up a majority of our life. Don't just talk about our day. Our life is spent.
Maybe I would like to answer. I think randomology one. As a nurse, to be frank, they don't need a degree. Nurse to work, a diploma is enough. But degree is the painful to bank account though, and the queue for sponsorship is long. Okay, so maybe just to share a bit of insight. Actually nowadays, it might not be nursing degree that they are sponsoring. There is a lack of medical informaticians. That they need people with a nursing background or medical background to move into informatics or systems. So if you really want to upskill or look at like another degree, there are scholarships out there, and the take up rate isn't high. It's a bit like
For what IS courses?
yes, because it's a usually it's like if you are in, for example, if you are in arts, what are the odds that you will do science this
Very
subject,
low.
right? Yeah. But if you are okay to go through the learning curve, there are this kind of like hybrid courses where they are trying to fill the role because there is a shortage, and the sponsorship is there because they wanted to build capabilities in local context. Yeah. So if you look at I think I can't remember what's the name of the internship, the scholarship portal. There's a scholarship portal.
Oh, I think
Brightspark.
Brightspark. Yeah. I
So
know what you're talking
in
about.
Brightspark, some of the scholarships, if you look at it, right, it's very cold topic on. It's like the number of applicants are quite low. So if you think that degree is something that you are okay to learn and you are okay to serve in another industry,
Like a bond, or at least. Right?
yeah, I mean, they pay for you, and the number of competitors in that queue is actually very low. It's just
that's a good way of like both seeking like a degree at the same time, also almost like
And upskilling yourself in
upskilling
an
yourself.
alternative.
and also a job also, right? Because
I did have a friend whose I think scholarship was on what's the name? Let me think. It's also medical related one. It's like health communication.
okay,
It's so niche that
like people don't really apply for it, but at the same time they need it. Also,
I mean our country do need
Yeah.
this kind of specialization.
yeah,
But because there isn't enough people who are interested in doing that topic, so they sponsor.
So I mean that's another.
It's finding out where some of these scholarships are that nobody wants to take up, but it's related to your field.
Yeah.
Then you can just pick it up and you have.
Okay, actually that's quite a high level
Interesting.
tip though. Like, cause
Yeah.
most people think of like jobs as like LinkedIn. And a lot of people wrote like LinkedIn like things, but sometimes jobs also come with the scholarship element where there's like a bond, etc.
Yeah.
Like DSTA, A-Star, all these people.
Yeah.
So
basically
I do think-
scholarships that come with a job attached.
Yeah. Most people don't like the bond because like they feel like they're being tied down after like 3 or 4 years, for 3 or 4 years. But at the same time, you can think of it as you get a confirmed job for 3 to 4 years. So it's really how you think about it. And I think that's another good opportunity to look at it and try to see like a different point of view, or maybe if you want, especially if you want to change like
Industry a
change
bit
industry
or,
a bit. Yeah.
or adjacent industries.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on to Brianna's response.
Hey, I know Brianna.
You know her?
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Okay. Sounds familiar.
But I want to. Brianna's response isn't like very. It's not. I think it's more a practical tip than like a super deep tip.
Oh, that's good.
Than the one I want to
Right.
point out. He said, less shapes and patterns on your CV. Recruiters use the system to vet through, and most of them can't register the shapes and might affect it. Then I was like,
Yes.
are you kidding me? Really?
Don't decorate your
So-
CV.
For real?
Okay, so when I mean I'm back on like this process where I'm now also an applicant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of the companies now they use Workday
Yeah.
or like some HR system that do what you call AI CV reading.
Yeah.
My CV is a portfolio, not the traditional CV format.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I upload, right, they didn't even pick my name out. So I have to refill the form manually.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is actually a tip, like an actual practical tip. Like if you want it easier for the AI to read, don't like to put the bells and whistles.
I mean,
but I think it's a balance also because
It's a
you want
balance. It's a
to you want to
balance.
stand out in terms of like you want to look like you are professional, and sometimes this
Yeah.
will help you. But at the same time, you also don't want the AI to
Maybe
not even
include
know
a
your name.
bit.ly for them to click. Include a bit.ly for them to click into the portfolio stuff.
Actually, I did that.
Right.
Just to track. I mean, because I customized
Yeah, the
each,
bit.ly link.
Or to check how people.
No, so after, let's say if I send a portfolio or if I send a suggested deck,
Yeah.
then because I customize it individually,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I can track
Check
from my
which one
end.
get more.
Yeah, what's the average
The hit
click-through?
rate
So
lah.
if even I said before, I have been ghosted before.
Yeah.
Then I can look at got one click.
So someone like
Someone opened it, but no reply. I mean it's like a blue tick. it's
like
too
that
thick,
lah.
yeah.
I remember now LinkedIn, right? Because I
They'll show.
submit resume, they will show when it's downloaded. And I always think like, people download my resume, they like never tell me anything. Okay, whatever.
It's like that what?
Yeah,
Right,
I think that's where later on I think we will talk about
yeah.
what is a good HR practice.
Yeah.
That is what we call hiring experience design. Later
I think
we'll
we will go
Okay.
into that right after this one last response by Grace.
Yeah.
So the one that I want to point out, she gave 2 tips, and but the one I was looking at is if you don't already have LinkedIn, go and create one. If you have one, ensure you update it regularly so that people can push relevant openings to you. There are plenty of openings, so it will definitely help you to save time and not go through all the jobs out there.
Yes.
Furthermore, there are many recruiters or company HR finding talent, so this can be your chance.
Yes.
I agree, because there are a lot of people. There are some interviews that I went to I didn't even apply for it.
Let me just put it out there, right? That I don't know if you all know this, but there is an entire industry built around LinkedIn consultancy.
Yeah.
So it is such a lucrative social media, right? And it's a social media purely for professionals, right? There is a waste if you don't utilize it.
I agree. Do you have LinkedIn? Oh, I added you.
I have.
Yeah,
I mean, because recently I activated it.
That being said, my LinkedIn is also not the most updated, so
Yeah.
I got to go do something about it.
I think we can go into like LinkedIn tips and then a whole other episode if you guys want that. So if you guys want LinkedIn tips, do leave it
Maybe
in the
we
comments
can
down below.
invite MOS Elvin Tan.
Maybe. But for now, I think we'll leave it at that. Go and hang out your make sure you go and like do up your LinkedIn.
Actually, my LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing, just the job title.
Mm.
It's also because some of the work that I do, I cannot
say lah.
I cannot say.
Yeah,
So in a way, when I'm applying for jobs that people don't know me, then no choice. I might miss out on opportunities.
Yeah.
But based on the people who know me or referrals, that's where referrals and networking comes in. Not having anything is not an issue at all.
Yeah, I think the networking and referrals thing, we were talking a bit off camera just now, but we were saying that like it's actually quite an important role in like job hunting also, because like people want the security of knowing that they got someone who is not like going to turn out like to be an asshole or whatever. So having referrals and like networking, as much as I hate
It's like
it,
an endorsement.
It is,
so if somebody refers you, the person puts his or her name on the line to refer you to the job. So it's an endorsement and it helps.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely does. So like I would say that like maybe I'm not saying like you have to go out and like network a lot necessarily, but I do think that like every time you work on something, let's say you're in the industry, like internships, like make sure you don't burn the bridge.
Yeah.
Be amicable with everyone. Make sure you do your work, and eventually someone down the line will be like, hey, I remember you doing your internship days and I enjoyed working with you.
Yeah.
I'm starting this new team. Do you want to come along with me?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of opportunities like this that will definitely come along your way. So even if you're not like a super extroverted person, like I'm not also, you don't have to go out your way to network. But like all these small things, like just do your best and maintain good relationships with people. Eventually, it will help you.
Yep.
So that's the tips for the job hunting. Also got one more one. Denzel says get good. Thank you, Denzel.
That one is for Elden Ring.
Fucking hate you.
Wrong,
But yes,
wrong game.
we can go to Mushi. Mushi has prepared like a very, very cool, like I think thought thing where he was also like trying to reimagine this whole job hunting experience or reimagine this whole job
I would
phenomenon.
say it's like a mindset shift.
Yeah.
That it has already happened. It's just that I think not everybody is on the same page, and not every employer has the same mindset. Yeah. So as much as we are calling this thing like job hunting, we need to think of it as what is okay. So there's this meta part, which is what is actually a job, and are you really hunting for it? Yeah.
Or is it hunting you?
Yeah, because
Wait a
if
minute,
you
time
think
out.
because if you think about it, right, it doesn't really make sense. What are we actually doing here? Correct.
Yeah.
So that's why when y'all invited me, actually I drafted something
He
He straight up did up 44 slides.
he did more work than John ever did in his whole 3 years in IMO.
He is a gangster.
But yes, okay, wait.
Yeah,
so what's
so-
the mindset shift that you're thinking about?
No, so based on the title here is actually role matchmaking.
Okay.
So you think of it as are we really doing job? Correct. Later we move to that. So if we think about jobs, what we are looking at it is actually that's just a title, right? I mean that's like a job title because that's why it's called job.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what are we actually fulfilling in the job, which is actually a role?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
example, I mean you are a videographer, you are a photographer, and what comprises inside the role are capabilities. So what are the capabilities that we need you to be able to do?
Yeah.
And then based on the capabilities, what are the skills
needed, right?
needed? Yeah. So that's why I said I didn't like the title lah. Job hunting is because what we are trying to do here isn't really job hunt.
Right.
Yeah, because if we think from a two-way channel perspective, it's actually role matchmaking.
Right.
So it's kind
Because-
of like you're not hunting a girlfriend, you're finding a good match for a girlfriend.
For-
So it's not hunting a job, it's more like tailoring a suit.
Yeah. And later on we'll talk more about some other things that
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why when I look at this topic, I wanted to change the title to role matchmaking.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
because essentially it's like you are trying to find a working partner,
Yeah.
working environment.
That's true.
So you are trying to matchmake somebody who has a need, correct? So the company has a need to say, I want this type
So
of
and so.
or these capabilities
Yeah.
to be in my company.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you are looking for somebody who will accept you
Yeah.
for your capabilities. That's why I name it as role matchmaking.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think this mindset shift sort of help you to accept that it's okay to not match. You know, like Tinder,
Yeah.
it's okay to not match.
Yeah.
And there's no hard feeling because if you don't match, it just means that you're not compatible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's two ways. Somebody can swipe right on you, you don't like, you swipe left.
Yeah. I agree.
And this mindset, I think, will free up a lot of the mental stress that a lot of people will actually have.
So so from employee's point of view, or someone who is trying to find a job,
Yeah.
like how would that mindset play? Like you mean like being not so hard up about like companies like
Rejecting you.
them, or maybe even like you're trying to find like a specific, instead of like finding companies, you're finding
Yeah.
let's go into the red flags and stuff like that.
So like we said, like if you think that if you are the employee, correct?
Yeah.
Like you look at the HR, how come so slow?
Yeah.
The responses take more than 3 working days to get back to you. Does
Yes.
it mean does it
My
mean
God.
that there's a lot of bureaucracy in the company that
Yeah.
you might not enjoy? So that is a
My
reflect on your end to
goodness.
say that you feel like, okay, actually they are not suitable for me because maybe you don't like bureaucracy. There are people who like bureaucracy.
That hit a note in my heart.
Yeah. So being slow in the response,
Yeah.
it's a red flag in terms of bureaucracy.
Yeah,
or some
it
of them
is.
they might say that they might tell you, there's actually 7 stages in this entire interview.
Oh my god, I hate that. Yeah.
Then like I said, that is another red flag.
Oh, I hate that so much.
Yeah.
That already sounds like a
I
nightmare.
feel like 2 stages already hit already.
Yeah, but that precisely is red flag. It's a two-way. That's why I
Yeah.
say it's a two-way thing. It's a match. So if you already don't like this kind of work environment or processes, even if they say no, I think it's
like
fine.
it's a good thing. It's
It's a
like
good thing. It's in fact a good thing to you. You should be happy about
It's
it.
king deal.
Yeah, lucky you,
You dodged a
didn't.
bullet.
Because you didn't have to deal with this kind of bureaucracy.
That's interesting. Okay, that's a very good way of thinking about it.
Yeah, because and then from an employer perspective,
Yeah.
if you think what are some of the red flags
Yeah.
that you will pick up. For example, never do homework.
Mm.
The moment the person never do homework, it means that or never do sufficient homework for the role.
Yeah.
It means that it's a wrong match. Even
Yeah.
if the person has fantastic skill set, because
Yeah.
it means that the person is not interested enough
In the role.
in terms of attitude in finding out or doing their
In
due
being a
diligence
part of the team.
or the co-creation part of matching in terms of skill set. And I would say it's not just skills. It's also a lot about attitude.
Yeah.
You want your
There
team
are
member
intangible
who,
things.
Yeah, there are lah.
you want team members who are happy, team members that you can
Who
work
are
together
invested.
with,
Yeah.
and interested in the same product and services that you are offering as well.
Mm.
Imagine somebody tell you, hey, actually I hate video editing.
Then why you come?
But I got through the interview. How would you feel as a team member?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's already a red flag.
I do want to say that
Yeah.
like
Then why you come?
there are a few times where they ask me like, oh, what do you like in the video production thing? The video production like pipeline. Then I would say like, honestly speaking, video editing, if I don't do, I won't do lah. I understand it's important. It's not my favorite part of the thing.
Yeah.
I'll do it if the team needs me to do it. It's just like I don't particularly enjoy video
Yeah.
editing.
Yeah.
And
Then-
you're like, oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, but
and they'll
then
see
again-
whether that will be okay for them lah.
Then it depends on the role you are applying for.
Exactly, yeah.
Because if you are a video editor, then it's a red flag. But
Yeah.
if you're a content strategist, it's not even part of your scope.
Yeah.
You are
So
just strategizing for it, and they just ask you because they sometimes lack of manpower. Maybe it's a good to have, but not a must to have. So to them, it's like never mind, it doesn't matter.
I do think that like you have to be honest with these things, and then like based on it's kind of like dating almost, like you be honest with these things. You're not trying to like I guess necessarily like appeal to everyone, but
Yes.
you are trying to appeal to the right one.
Correct.
And if they think that this is a red flag, then it's a red flag. If they don't think it is, then good for you.
Exactly.
And move on with life. But from the HR perspective, what do you think can be done better?
Yeah,
Because now the HR people, at least from what I can tell, there's a lot of emphasis on the number of years that you have experience in, a lot of emphasis on like where you have worked at, the skills you have. But like, how would this change that perspective?
So I think it's very role. It's very a bit. It depends on the role itself also. But we talk about more about what we call hiring experience.
Yeah.
So if you think of it as how will you redesign the process? Because when I became a hiring manager for my own department, which is a tech department,
Yeah.
it was based off a lot of the bad experiences
Yeah.
that I had myself lah.
Yeah.
So let me pull out because sometimes
No worries.
yeah.
But I just want everyone who's listening on Spotify right now, you guys don't know what he's doing, but he's going through slides.
Oh, yeah. So for example, in some other processes before I became a hiring manager or employer side of the work, as a potential employee, I had to go through, like just I said, like a long waiting period.
And long interview processes that you don't really quite understand.
So to me, that's a red flag. That when I'm redesigning a process, I didn't want that to happen. Yeah, and then the second part is multiple rounds of asking the same question. I mean, to be honest, right? How many times have you filled up? Like, I mean, your CV already has your information.
Yeah.
Then you need to resubmit on another HR system, and then you have to update it on another place. It's ridiculous.
HR people, bitch, hear this, what this man is saying, fix your shit. My God.
I mean, this information should have been unified because you are applying to a company. If you talk about PDPA, I mean, you already submitting to a company. The company where if you are the hiring manager, you should already have.
Why do I need to submit the same 3 forms again? I don't get it. But I do agree. Like, I guess in the sense it's like streamlining the processes and also like trying to make sure that like you're focusing on the right things in terms of like the role matching as what you're saying instead of like
so
job
now
hunting.
comes to how I redesign.
Yeah.
So for example, for one of the things I really hated is that and not just me lah. I mean, you can find memes online, which is a lot of the developers will say that, my interview is harder than my job, or my assessment or the coding assessment is harder than my job. It's because the person who designed the coding assignment. I mean, you can say that. Oh yeah, you try to make it harder so that but if you think of it, right, that role might not even need it.
Yeah, exactly.
So when it comes down to designing of my assessment, so I have this stage called pre-filter assessment. I mean pre-interview assignment.
Yeah.
The moment you go through a quiz, I'm not sure if you all have seen my the brochure that we go to school, we hand out.
Yeah. It's
from
link.
far it looks like a QR code.
Yeah.
But it's actually not a QR code.
It's a quiz. Oh,
it's a quiz.
Yeah. I went to the website and I didn't understand a single thing.
Yeah, but for people who understand what it is about, they will solve that puzzle and they will find the instructions needed. And based on the instruction, the first one is a role specific instruction. So because I needed someone who understands, for example, the use of API to build a sample app.
Yeah.
And I wanted them to build in their familiar development stacks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's an open-ended question. We can take Joe, for example.
Yeah.
Joe did not attend the roadshow.
Yeah.
His friend passed him the
brochure.
brochure.
Yeah, he went to do it.
Yeah.
My goodness. Okay.
And when we interviewed him, he said this line. He said that after he received the brochure, he couldn't stop thinking about it. He had to solve it.
So
he had to fix it.
My goodness, it's so in like some weird way, like creating these things also can help sieve out the people who who will be interested in the role and also have the attitude that you will value lah.
Yes. So and that's the mindset I wanted lah. Somebody, I mean when I designed the quiz, right, it was a bit of an intentional way.
Yeah.
Where it actually received some criticism. So as for example, like Brian said, hey, why you make it so hard for people?
Yeah.
But at the same time, developers' feedback that I had was why you make the quiz so easy. You get what I mean? Like if you understand it, it's easy.
Yeah.
If you don't understand it, it's hard. So it automatically filters away people who don't understand what is about.
So that makes sense.
So by the time you receive the assignment, the first assignment is to use the API and develop. So it's an open-ended question.
Yeah.
And I get to assess your skill set based on what you can build as a pre-assessment. And it's not even it's a coding assignment that's relevant to the job. And it doesn't even need to be like closed book. I allow you to be open book because to be
in
honest,
real life, like you also can be open book.
I mean, I'm not running an exam center.
Hey,
I'm running a.
This is
Someone give this man a raise. What the fuck are you guys doing?
I mean, you think about it, right? I'm not running an exam center, and in real world, please. If you, I also forget
90% of the problems you Google to find a reference.
I mean, if right now I ask you to do object tracking within your video for,
I don't know how to do. I'll go search out a tutorial, dude.
but can you still deliver the product?
I
mean, it's about ability to learn and relearn and what's not. So
it's like riding a bike. I need to relearn how to ride a bike, man.
So when I said that self-filtering assessment is at the comfort of your own time. I got no time limit. I just want you to show me that
just want the job done.
You know how to solve the problem.
In a way, that's also representative of how the company environment is like, right? Because that's what you are.
True.
So to them, if they don't like this, then they know that it's not the right job for them.
Yeah.
And if they like it, means that the kind of company, you know for a fact that they will thrive in this kind of environment.
So that's where the second question comes in.
Which is?
The second question will ask you to suggest 3 potential or possible projects that you can work on and help build the company. It doesn't have to be related to any of the existing services. And this sort of is a bit of like a ideation test. I mean, creativity and also interest alignment.
Right.
Because if I mean, one of the job of my department is to explore new technology application in this aspect. And sometimes some of the projects that they suggest are very useful. It's just that maybe at the point in time,
it's not aligned
the business direction isn't aligned. But some of the projects do come back maybe later on. So what happens is that some of them, if it's an internship, later on maybe it's their free time. You can do that and build it as a MVP. MVP is a minimum viable product. And then we can test. So not sure if you remember probably at the start, she will come over, ask, hey, can you help to do a user experience test, like give feedback. She will ask like A/B testing. I ask her, can help me to test this UI, give feedback. Then she need to collect, then try to understand. I mean, some of this is actually somebody's suggestion somewhere. Because and then maybe it's also part of their training.
Right.
Then they can also understand new roles that is useful in their career, but not necessarily immediately beneficial to the company. Then the last question. So I got 3 questions. The last question is an open-ended philosophical question.
To see like personality match
to see value system. It's actually a very simple question. It's about so there are three children. Children A knows how to make a flute. Children B knows how to play the flute. Children C don't know anything. There's only one flute. Who will you give it to?
Children A can what?
Can make
a flute.
Then B can
play the flute.
Then C is just
don't know anything.
Or rather A made the flute lah. Who will you give the flute to? So this is sort of like a
interesting
a question to think about fairness. To think about value system. Because at the end of the day, I mean, running a department, we need to talk about some of these things, but these are a bit abstract. I mean,
Yeah,
from
of
you,
course.
you are a psychology student,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
sort of understand like. It's part of the psychoanalysis
Yeah,
of
yeah,
like
yeah.
the profiling of the candidate. I mean, some of them give very PR answer. Then you're like, okay, this person is just being careful.
Yeah.
Some people very daring, right?
Yeah.
You go and it shows up. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll just say, oh, they won't give anybody or they won't do it. And then this is the kind of attitude whether it aligns with you lah. I mean, there's no right or wrong.
There's no right or wrong. It's just whether or not it fits lah.
Yeah, whether it fits or not. And then we will attach one more. Sometime I mean, Then we attach once they have all these three. Then the last line is once you are done with all these three, just email to me.
Yeah.
Then the moment I receive, you have cleared stage 1. We haven't even met
Yeah.
because you already put in the effort to make all this right. So by then you will have already prepared your CV. You have done your it's in your own time. You already done the filtering assessment.
Yeah.
Then you met the requirements that I wanted. Then that's stage 1. So then I say, so actually the first time you actually meet me is the only one time you need to see me. There's no second round because I realized that we all hated so many rounds.
I hate second.
One more time, shout out to
What
HR.
the fuck? I hate What's up? Why you need me so many times? I ask you, why you need me? You meet me first time, you don't know me enough, man. Come on, let's be real. You meet me the second time, you think you know me more, man. Come on, just fucking ask me all the questions you want to. And just know me in that one time. Is this so difficult? My goodness, why do you... I'm not... Oh, Jesus Christ,
Okay,
man.
the rage is all out there.
Okay, so my stage 2 is the only one time that the interviewee need to come over.
Right.
At this stage, what we are doing is we are trying to do a role specific assessment. Then they will do a portfolio showcase. And then they will do current profile mapping, profiling, and a team fit assessment. What I mean by team fit assessment is that
It's a culture thing,
during the session itself,
personality wise.
2 additional team members that they will be working with are already sitting in. Why do I want to schedule another meeting on a different time zone, make you travel 2 times the trip to meet with another team member that could have been done in a single session?
You hear that?
I mean,
I agree.
So actually but there's one part of the component that is because it's a company-wide thing that I don't really agree lah. If they do, but it's need to do because it's company-wide.
Yeah, just a company. Yeah.
So
Life is hard.
that part of it is the ocean test, the personality, the IQ test. Please
The
lah.
pattern recognition test.
To be honest, right?
Don't say.
Yeah.
Don't say.
It's okay. We get it, Mushi.
Yeah.
We understand. You
Don't
get
say.
it. Don't say. It's fine. No, it's
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, it's useful to know, but it's not needed for the role. You are not hiring somebody. And to be fair, the quiz is biased towards a specific genre of people, and it's not even a role. You think about it, if now I give you a ABRSM grade 8 IQ quiz. Please, if you're not a music major, how on earth are you supposed to be able to differentiate? I mean, on some basis, some people like to flaunt it.
I ask you to strip and clean rifle now.
I mean,
I agree. I mean, IQ tests
It's the same one.
It's a whole different thing because in psychology,
But
you
you're
also learn
testing for the
IQ
wrong
tests.
thing.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
saying if for your job, I ask you to go for swimming test.
I don't want to say that like I think I'm a beneficiary of it, but I do understand that there is like it doesn't exactly test very accurately what
correct.
you think it does lah.
I ask you go for
Yeah, yeah.
IPPT.
Yeah.
It's not the be all. I don't think it should be treated as a be all and all. If you want them to do it just because you want to see,
I think
sure.
there's this. I think it's a Pygmalion. Is it Pygmalion effect? The one where the what is the the impression of the supervisor impacts the
Candidate.
the performance. Yeah, let me just.
I think I know what you mean. Like that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy thing.
Yeah, correct.
But I've
So-
heard about the Pygmalion effect,
Yeah.
and I cannot remember what it's
Yeah.
about.
It's basically a self-fulfilling prophecy where they have in
so-
schools,
yeah,
in
so-
schools they have known that.
So
like,
it's
okay,
called
continue.
high expectation leads to high performance.
Yeah.
Why on earth you do a test that potentially hurts the growth of your sorry to say, that's the part I don't agree with, which is why on earth you make a quiz, right, that will potentially impact the psychology of the employees, right, of not reaching their peak. I mean, I think you guys know about the the learning curve graph that introduced during the orientation, right?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
I remember it.
So the thing is, if we are trying to do a S curve,
Yeah.
then what is the next S curve? What's the next learning curve, right? But
Uh-huh.
if you are doing this kind of thing, this kind of like profiling, right, and you're actually you are letting the supervisors know, the supervisor like, yeah, this person the score is low lah.
Yeah, it's
It's a
self-fulfilling prophecy, yeah.
and it becomes a pygmalion effect.
Yeah.
So a low impression is like. So imagine now, I'm supposed to do appraiser for bonus. I'm supposed to do appraiser for
Then
for-
it becomes
for the
harder
next-
and harder to be objective.
yeah, correct. The next deployment for overseas trip. I mean, you guys know for like your overseas trip is for internship is a reward.
Yes.
And somebody who was on the interviewing panel like, hey, but this person
Always like that one.
Yeah.
Do well, like,
Yeah,
active
yeah, yeah.
test.
or like this person based on the ocean test, not very not very extrovert enough to
Yeah.
interact with the client. So maybe don't send the person. I mean, if you also want to help the person grow,
Yeah.
then you
yeah.
wouldn't even consider I'll do this already. I mean, it's good to measure a bit,
Yeah.
but I don't agree lah.
I agree. I understand what
I
you
actually
mean.
don't want it to be in, but because it's a company-wide thing.
I understand what you mean. But I think that's like a whole other topic. But I do think that so far it's been super interesting. The job hunting tips,
Yeah.
but then after that realizing that like maybe you shouldn't even be thinking of it as job hunting and trying to reimagine the whole process, and not just from the employer's point of view, but also the HR's point of view. God damn it. I have a lot of things to complain about, but I won't complain until I get a job. So,
But the thing is,
Yeah.
although these are bad experiences.
Yeah.
So the question is, next time when you are in the position to make changes.
oh yeah,
So that was what I did lah.
Yeah.
I was in the position
to make a change.
to make a change. So since now I'm given the opportunity to make a change, I redesign my own hiring process in the way that usually during the session, the first 40 minutes is for you to do the role specific assessment. I mean,
Yeah.
so usually there's some like on the spot case study.
Yeah.
The case study I don't know, it's reused until cannot reuse. It's a very generic case study, which is somebody has a bakery.
Yeah.
They need to scale up
Oh, that one.
operation. Yeah.
Okay.
Then, but the thing is, it's so open ended because it tests you on different roles. Whether you're so what I can tell what we are looking for. I mean, it's no magic. I mean, if you really know what I'm talking about, then then you will know how to ace the interview. Also. Yeah, because I think they changed the question already.
I cannot.
Yeah,
I have no clue. I'm so detached
Yeah,
from this
yeah.
process.
I didn't know that I had to do an ideation test for Ting Teng, but continue.
But for so essentially what I'm looking for. One of the question is if you give recommendations. What are some of the things it's very generic one. What are some of the business decisions you'll make? What are some of the systems that you will build? What is the development stack of the system that you build in, and what's the architecture or what will you design the system? Very generic, right? There's actually 5 level marking. It's very simple. Open-ended ma. I mean it's a simple question.
Yeah.
If you know your stuff, you can answer all the way until level 5.
Sorry.
If you don't know the answer, you based on your level of competency, the open-ended question will have filtered you to help us gauge where you are at.
Yeah.
But it's not to penalize you, It's actually to understand where your gaps are at.
Yeah.
So that you know whether their fit will make sense.
Not just fit, because sometimes we do accept people without full knowledge.
Yeah.
Because your attitude is good, ma. I say I want somebody that can fit the team well.
Yeah.
I mean capabilities, we do so many in-house training to the point that we are almost running a school.
Yeah.
So I mean if you think about it, we are almost running a school, right?
Fair enough.
And to be
We
fair,
is.
I mean I was the
it's a
coordinator.
He was the
to make-
principal.
I was the coordinator to ask, hey, this is the timetable for the new batch January, whatever.
Yeah.
Then I'll contact the different.
You're the dean of student development.
Then I'll contact different domain experts who are best in the topic.
Basically, if John does photography well, he'll do the photography
Yeah,
class.
correct.
He made it sound that impressive, but actually it's just John being a fucking idiot there.
It's just me
No, but the thing is,
shaping
who
the young
best,
minds.
who is best to deliver the topic also.
Yeah.
Because John does have interest in camera and equipment.
Yeah.
So he does.
He'll go in there and say
equipment
like, here's how you use the
training.
gimbal. Do not use this. Then he say, a lot of people do this. Fuck you. That's how his class is like.
So for example, when Joe came in, he's not required.
To do that
you think
lah.
about it, he's not required to be a photographer or videographer.
Yeah.
I let him sit in to also understand what other people are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also to be able to appreciate and understand the work that we are doing.
Yeah.
For example, we are
Man.
going to build inventory.
Yeah.
We are going to buy equipment.
Yeah.
Where does some of this go to?
Yeah.
Because eventually, if you like, I'm just buying, they're so irritating, why ask me buy again? But if he's involved in the process of looking at, actually this equipment makes sense. So actually what I did was I loaned him my equipment. He actually didn't know that was the most expensive equipment in the entire equipment that you all loaned out for the intern to. Until so I think somebody told him that, hey, do you know that actually this one is, then you're like, oh, okay, faster return me. Then I said, never mind, you use, don't worry. Yeah.
I mean, from what I can tell, let's wrap up this episode real quick.
Yeah.
But like, I think from what I can tell, the first part, obviously, we're trying to pander to like the current system. But at the end of the day, like the whole system, there needs to be a mindset shift.
Yes.
And I think I got one more part that I want to bring in.
Yeah.
So the mindset shift that I think is very important for, because now we talk about co-creation, right?
Yeah.
We talk about how the employees also, the potential employees also have the power now. Because I think it's fair.
Yeah.
It's
is.
fair that the process, because it's matchmaking,
Yeah.
they have a choice and they also can do that.
Yeah.
Although the hype word is employee value proposition, what they can offer. But I think the other mindset shift could also be employee proposed valuation. That means you can propose what you think is the job. So in the other approach is best fit for the job. So you throw a job description, then you'll be like, okay, I have a match that meets the job. Okay, I hire you. That's the best fit.
Yeah.
The other one is fit best for the job. The other approach, which is you actually can be best used in this aspect.
So they want you, they just try to see how they can
use your
craft the
potential
JD around you.
and help you maximize your potential. Because if you think of it, right, knowledge economy or digital economy is very different from a factory line. A factory line is about producing the same thing, same time, many time. A digital and knowledge economy is about problem solving. If you are good in a very niche aspect, for example, entrance user experience or onboarding user experience. If the person doesn't meet the requirement of the other things and then you reject the person, I mean the person could be like a genius in the field of this thing that is important.
That one day you will probably
not
need as
one
well.
day in one of your process.
Yeah.
But because you only see it from the lens of this person doesn't meet my requirement, okay, bye, I kick the person out. I mean, so there are a number of times that even internally we try to recalibrate. Like, so I asked the question. I asked, what is a ideal role that you want to have? So usually I ask the question. It's a bit like, do you prefer to build enterprise system or do you prefer to build experimental projects? So it sort of help them. I mean, when I ask the question, it's not to penalize them. It's to understand what best motivates them to build. Because I mean, there's the enterprise usually TSL where all the boring stuff, and then suddenly you got some very interesting projects right along the way, right? I mean, but some people will choose enterprise. They tell you that they prefer to build something that they are familiar with and they are very good at doing it. It's like somebody who lay the bricks, right? Lay the bricks so
but
well.
they lay 4,000 a second.
It's like last time you watch the 生活达人 show. I mean, it's this kind of and you are getting the best of the jack of that trade.
I think if you're coming from an employee's point of view, so I think it'll be really cool because for example, like one of my advice that my dad gave me is that like even if the JD doesn't like exactly fit what you are, what you have, right? You want to apply, just try, and then like see like, hey,
how you can feel.
I can do this, but here's where I think I'm better at, and then see whether the company accepts you. I've had people who responded well to it also. Like I've applied for like say videographer editor, and they asked me after a while, I'm like, actually I think I'm a lot better at like leading a team, or like I think a lot better at like ideation side of things or content strategy. That's what I think my strength lie in, and also my interest lies in. I want to be able to be client facing and stuff like that. Then most of the time, like sometimes there'll be companies like they'll be like, oh, okay, interesting. Then actually maybe we can build a role around you. And I think that would be a very nice fit.
Correct.
As well.
It's true. And I think that like once in a while offering what you can offer, even though it's not part of the JD that you're applying for, right, will be useful for employers to better understand who you are and what your additional skills might be. Because for most companies, no such thing as a square hole want to put square block. Sometimes they'll be just looking for a person for this description, but then because you say something else, then they're like, hey, he also can do the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's where you discover new potential roles and you would actually level up your chances for getting something that fits you better also lah.
Mushi, do you have any like final closing thoughts?
Yeah. So let me.
He's going through his slides.
He's going through his very extensive
His
slides.
slides are, I'm just seeing him swiping right a lot, right? And it has not ended.
Huh?
I think it will end one day, right? But it has not ended so far. I just want to let
is
everyone know.
quite
He has swiped
insane.
at least 10 times.
For those of you that are still watching on Twitch, thank you so much. But yeah, Mushi is one of the people that has done the most research. So we
Give him
give
the
him
time.
his time of day to find his last thing to say.
Yes.
Yeah. So the last part, I think not easy to implement. I understand the struggles and constraints because a lot of times the reason why there's so many processes is because the HR is detached as a separate unit for the hiring process.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand why they do
Yeah.
that, but I don't fully agree.
Yeah.
I don't fully, but I partially agree.
Interesting.
Yeah. So for example,
Yeah.
because I do my own hiring
Yes.
for
Yeah.
my own department.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't use the same hiring pipeline as the rest of the company.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But because I know what the team needs, and like I said, it's a co-creation process. It's not just me that's sitting inside. So for example, based on that, at the point in time, Joe and Polly, they were full-timer already. They set in the other interviews for future hires. Usually what I do is because I'm the lead, I'm the head, right? Then I actually let them give their opinion first. So I want to make sure that I don't want to influence their decision. I don't want because I say something right, then they bend towards my
Yeah.
rival ma. So I always say, hey, what are your thoughts? Then they will share then they'll share whether this person is suitable, this person is not suitable in the team. What are some of the challenges working with this person? What are some of the perks of working with this person? Where will this person fit into which project? Before even we offer back. Then after they are discussing with that, then I will come in to say, okay, I actually most of the time I agree with them.
Yeah.
Because
Similar vision.
Similar working. That's why team fit is a co-creation process. And that's why some of the things is eventually need to think about potential-based hiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, potential-based hiring is one of the more powerful things that means that you might not be fully qualified. You might not, on paper, you might not even have the certificate.
Yeah.
I have had an intern who was from aerospace engineering. He aced the interview. He didn't even know the language.
That he was supposed to code.
In that assessment that he was supposed to write a sample code.
Yeah.
He was just trying to pseudocode it, for example.
Yeah.
He actually managed to deduce the syntax correctly.
Okay.
And that is a transferable skill set.
An eye for problem solving.
Yeah. And if you think about it, somebody who has never been exposed to that programming language can write a correct answer.
Yeah.
Because based on his portfolio, right, he doesn't even he's not even a CS student.
Yeah.
And he has zero exposure to that language it's just sometimes we put the question, right, it's because we have a project that we need, but he don't know what's the project we need for the hire ma. So but he did fit the role because there is a potential of him contributing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you look at the answer, you'll be like, to be honest, even if I give it to a lot of people, right, a lot of people will fail a lot of people who knows might not even give the correct answer. This guy,
He did without even knowing.
He did that without knowing, and FYI, there's no internet access. There's no internet access during that part of the quiz.
Fucking Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, so role based, potential based hiring, right? And then that's where some of the job description will change.
Yeah.
Instead of writing things like roles and responsibilities, skill sets needed, you will shift towards a role based objective. What is the objective of this role?
Yeah.
What are the problems you are trying to solve? And instead of writing things like what is the specific development stacks that you are targeting, or what's the skill set that you need, you will also start to write about what are the things that you need to learn, because the industry is changing so fast.
I agree.
Yeah, if you think of it like videography, right? If I see somebody's CV, let's say knows Adobe Premiere Pro, then I'll ask maybe are you comfortable to learn DaVinci, Final Cut, and other softwares? Because the tool is going to evolve. Your skill-specific tools are going to change.
So, but like in general, like the skills or attitudes will be transferable regardless of what tools that you have.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I look out for more than transferable. I look at the potential and what are some of the relevant components, and more HR should do that because I think, like I said, we have a lot of jadedness in the entire process, but nobody bothers to change it. So
And also, like, I want to say that like I've been ragging a lot on the HR people, right? I think your guys are great. I'm just like my mom is a HR person, so like, it's not like I'm here like trying to rag on you guys.
All the HR people
I'm just
watching.
saying that
Get him.
as much as like I think there are some frustrations, as what I say, like there are some frustrations in the process, but I don't think I understand where all these things come from. It's not like they're coming out of nowhere. They come from a concern or they come from a reason.
either like they need to coordinate with another person.
Yeah, exactly.
And
There's
they need
a
to
reason
check
that these
something,
things happen.
But that's also because the person didn't want to take ownership of the problem that they're trying to solve in their team.
Yeah, I think there's always a reason why you're doing things. I'm sure you guys are not doing it because like incompetent or whatever. It's just how it is. But it's just, as what Mushi said, I think there's a good way. There's definitely a way
and
to
I would
improve.
say the more you work, this actually goes against your typical work experience and requires you to do a little bit of lateral thinking to try to break out of the cycle to analyze potential, because potential is a very unseen thing. But in a very roundabout way, like what Mushi mentioned about it, right? If you're able to unlock people's potential to feel it, to basically make them like a liquid to feel the shape that you need, right?
Yeah.
You will get an employee that is able to excel a lot more than somebody who is on paper currently the best candidate that you're looking at. Because you do not understand how fluid this person might be. And that's where all these intangible things come into play a lot more in the hiring process and should definitely be more recognized more lah.
Also, I don't mean to cut you guys off, but my micro SD card is going to run out of space.
Oh, okay. Anyway, this has been a fantastic sharing.
It really is. Oh my goodness, I just got a notification.
I think this is has been a fantastic sharing, and there has been a lot of insight. Mushi helped us to do a big deep dive into most of the things. So thank you so much, Mushi, for sharing today. And I hope that you all learned something. If you all would like to see Mushi back on the show again, you can always let us know.
I think Mushi has been like the most well-prepared guest.
Yeah.
Most well-prepared person, full stop.
Arguably, I would say that he's more well-prepared than the both of us.
Arguably, depends on who argues. If you think about it.
No. I think both of us combined is not half of his effort.
But I think that if you guys want, I think it's very interesting because you have the experience of COO, CTO, everything.
Yeah.
I do think that if you want to come on another episode to give more insight on the processes and everything, it'll be very cool.
Correct.
The one a bit...
a bit more sensitive.
That one a bit more sensitive, but I think what you can share is in terms of your experiences in the job rather than the case studies that happen.
And y'all don't rant so much because...
Oh yeah, because that's why I never say anything.
We never rant anything. I'm not ranting about...
Let me just put it out there.
I'm just saying that I've applied to 3 weeks worth of interview or companies.
Let me put it out there that I never say a single thing. Or this boy here kept running his mouth.
I ranting because I feel like there are some parts where it's not most efficient. But I'm not unhappy, okay? It might sound like I'm very angry or unhappy.
So while this guy runs his mouth, thank you so much everyone for tuning in today, okay? Please remember to follow us everywhere on our social media. We are Overthink everywhere, and Mushi is...
my account is private, right?
It's
I'm
private
okay to not have increased my following.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm a private person.
But the main thing is, leave it in the comments below if you would like to see Mushi come on for future episodes. We can discuss other things. We don't have to discuss about job, right? We can discuss about other things, right? And with that,
thank you guys so much. Stay safe. Don't get COVID. See you guys next week.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.